Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Epps called me a couple weeks ago and asked me to present on something that was near and dear to my heart, so we're going to talk about college football. Like Gina said, I'm a Penn State grad, so we can stand tall for first time in a long time. But my second favorite team is anybody that plays Alabama. So last Saturday, I was rooting for the Aggies, but it didn't happen. But Dr. Epps said, no, you can't do that. You got to do something that has to do with TxDOT and our CEI partners. So we talked about informing you of what we've been doing with construction inspection development. Let's see if this will work. First question that comes up, we put together a steering committee, construction division did. It's about back in January, and we got together and we wanted to know, why do we need construction and inspection development program? There were probably 20, 25 of us in the room, and probably 5 or 6 of us knew anything about construction inspection. So that dwindled down over time to a small number of people that have been working really hard on what I'm about to present to you. First thing that we needed was, years ago, as anybody who's been around TxDOT for a while knows that construction inspection staff has dwindled back when the money kind of disappeared back in the mid-2000s and what have you. And of course, we've been fortunate enough to get Prop 1 and Prop 7 money, which is now starting to hit the field. And we're a little bit shy on our construction inspection staff out in the districts and using CEI moving forward. Of course, the most recent legislative allocation of FTEs that was given to TxDOT, we're very grateful for those. Large portion of those FTEs are specifically assigned to construction inspection. And also I want to talk a little bit about the CEI perspective and how we would be going about developing our CEI's inspection staff as well. What we came up with out of the steering committee were 5 main aspects of the program. The first thing that we wanted to do was provide a career path. This is within TxDOT for construction inspectors. And I'll talk a little bit about how that's been done. The second thing we wanted to do is provide an updated construction inspection development manual. And the one that was available has gone out of date, so it needed to be updated and brought up to new specs and standards. The next thing that we were doing was looking at a boot camp where we can bring people in for some intensive training, short duration training. It would be like a 2 or 3 week boot camp spread out where people that had some experience working out in the field could come in and get a little bit more advanced training, and that's also in process, and we'll talk about that as well. The next one was YouTube video training. There's a limited amount of YouTubes already on the TxDOT channel on YouTube. If you go out there and search through YouTube, you can find different trainings for everything from how to do a slump test to how to inspect open graded friction course or something like that. And of course, the last one, again, currently exists in online training and or classroom training for construction inspectors. Let's go back to the top, the career path for construction inspectors and what we've done. This task has pretty much already been complete. HRD, we used to have 4 levels of construction inspectors in our HRD manual in 4 separate pay grades. And then below that, there was either GTTs, General Transportation Techs, or GETs, General Engineering Techs, that would also do construction inspection. That has been expanded to 6 different pay grades for our inspectors, which provides a way for construction inspectors to see a career for themselves and not get dead-ended in a career where they can't go anywhere. This is especially important for non-degree inspectors who want to work their way up through the department. What HRD then did was get with district engineers and district directors of construction across the state. We took all of our existing employees and their pay grades and we did a crosswalk into the new families that were provided by them. And then the last thing that they did was they went out and they did an equity study on their salaries. And equity studies are black box as far as I'm concerned from HR, but really what they do is they look at market conditions, they look at current rates of pay for different tenures in the position, education levels and things like that. And Paul Somerville and his staff did a great job. All the equity reviews that were undertaken by HR, all the construction inspectors across the state back October 1st, they saw their first adjustments in their pay grades, in their paychecks, and most of them were very appreciative. But it also gave them a new sense of belonging as far as where their career could take them in TxDOT. The new job families are now advertised under the new categories. The old 1 through 4 construction inspectors. Now we have 1 through 6, and a 1 through 4 under the new 6 is not the same as the old 1 through 4. So if you're in here, if you're an area engineer or director of construction, pay attention to the job requirements for those different pay grades because it's very important. But what we've done is really given construction inspectors that work for TxDOT, you know, somewhere where they could hang their hat and say, this is what I want to do for my career at TxDOT until they could find something else and move forward. Right now, the level 6 is a pretty senior level construction inspector, and I'm not going to go into the details of what the tenure requirements are or things like that. But right now, they're probably in our larger urbans and our metros. There's probably very few outside in the smaller urban districts or in the rural districts, if any. Updated inspector development manual. This manual, and where's Scott Starkjohn? I saw him here a minute ago. I want to recognize Scott Starkjohn. He did a great job bringing this manual up to date. I know he, amongst a lot of other things he does down in construction division, he worked hard to get that manual ready. It is published, Scott, and it is available online as well, and it's available for CEI as well, and hard copy as well. Some people still like to have that hard copy book in their hand when they want to look at something. Did I move ahead? Okay. So that task, we're going to check that one off as complete. And I think if you go and look at the manual, there's a picture of the cover up there. That's some of my masterful PowerPoint skills to put that picture up there. But this is the table of contents, and you may not be able to see that, but it covers a whole host of inspection duties and responsibilities. And I know that Scott and the rest of the construction division is always there if there's any questions on what's in that manual. So if you don't have a copy of that, if you're a CEI and your people don't have a copy of that, it is available on the TxDOT website, and or if I guess I would say call Scott, and he'd probably be able to fix you up with the hard copy. The next thing, and this one is in progress right now, we're looking at, this is kind of an intensive boot camp where experienced, not brand new, but experienced, and what is experienced? I don't know, that's up to the districts. But we're saying at least 1 year of experience in construction inspection. The boot camp will probably be 2 or 3 weeks, not consecutive. It's modeled after what some of you may already know as our Maintenance Leadership Academy and also our Area Engineer Academy that we have now. It's meant to bring, you know, seasoned or semi-seasoned construction inspectors in, put them through some intensive, you know, classroom training, and also there's also discussion about building some demonstrations where we could actually go out and perform some of the more basic tests or look for how not to's, you know, when you're out on a construction project. Right now, attendance at a boot camp is really just like the Maintenance Leadership Academy. It'll be up to a district engineer or director of construction to decide who goes. They would put out a call for, you know, so many districts to nominate names. And those that are selected or voluntold by their district engineer that they're going to go to this academy, they'd be able to go. And again, second to last bulletin there, I kind of discussed already, there would also be a hands-on training portion of that as well. maybe up at Cedar Park in the lab up there, or right now we don't have a demonstration to work people on, so maybe even a local construction project where folks could go out and visit a construction site to see something that's actually going on that maybe they haven't seen before. The first one we are targeting to have in January of 2018. Currently, our workforce development in HR is working with the construction division to develop the curriculum for this academy. The very first one, there's going to be a call go out to district engineers and directors of construction to send probably some of your most seasoned inspectors, the 20, 25-year guys, because the intent there is to get them into the academy, go through the curriculum, and then take their feedback so that we can make the academy better for the less tenured folks that'll be coming through it in the future. Attendance rates for the academy would probably be in the range of 25 to 30 participants per class. But if you look at the 600 to 900 construction inspectors within TxDOT alone, you could see it would take many, many, many classes to get them all through there. So this would be relatively prestigious type class to get to go to, especially in the earlier years that we make it available. The other thing that our workforce development people have their eye on is creating a curriculum that may be picked up by a third party, technical schools, things like that, where they may be able to offer the same type service for people outside of TxDOT, which would be CEIs and even contractors, because a lot of our inspection skills are required by our contractor forces as well. Those would be for profit. I believe that, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not an expert, but I believe that we do have, if there were seats available, that they are open to CEI, and the terms, or if it's free or paid for, I really don't know, but I know that we do have CEI that could attend in-house TxDOT classes, but I believe that's based on a space available requirement. But this right here is really being developed right now. Again, we're looking forward to getting this thing started really soon. We think that it'll produce a lot of results. We have some very good results from the Area Engineer Academy and the Maintenance Leadership Academy, and this is the next one in line to accompany those two offerings. This one here is probably the least developed, and it may never end type thing. Actually going out and producing YouTube videos. These could be short 1, 2, 3 minute videos where if an inspector, say, he's been just coming out of asphalt season and you send him out to a concrete job and he hasn't done his concrete testing, in months and months or maybe even a year, he could sit in his truck, pull out his iPhone, pull out his iPad, whatever's available, log on to YouTube, look up, how do I do an air entrainment test? How do I do a slump test? What's the proper way to measure something? So this really has not, there are some available out there. There are also some available from third parties for mostly proprietary type installation items when you get into some soil nail techniques, some MSC walls, some pre-stress. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that may or may not meet the TxDOT spec, but the intention here is to try to make them so that they're all pretty much not the same as in robotic, but have them all have a TxDOT flare and have them meet TxDOT specifications and special provisions as we move forward. Once you start building a library like that, it becomes onerous to keep it up, just like it was with the inspection development manual. And so, we'll probably be pretty particular about which ones we put out there in the beginning, with the understanding that we are bringing in a whole new group of people that may not have done construction inspection before with where the department is now as far as our work program and as far as our CEI services. CEIs are hiring a lot of retired TxDOT inspectors. Some of you are hiring people off the street. And construction inspector is kind of it's a hard animal to go out there and just find one that's ready to go. I wrote down a couple of things. What do you need from a construction inspector? First thing you need is you got to find somebody that wants to work outside. He's got to want to work daytime, nighttime, raining, cold, heat. That right there cuts down your crops tremendously. You have to find somebody that knows how to do math. That cuts it down even more. Somebody knows how to write in a technical manner that's understandable, keeping records, somebody with some computer knowledge. And again, as all these things start cropping up in your mind, we all know how hard it is to find a relatively rare breed that can do construction inspection. They have to be able to get along with people, and sometimes they have to know when to put their foot down when things aren't going right. And again, that balance between those two things are also some things that would probably be included in the boot camp. It's not just a technical school. It's also, somewhat of a behavioral school as to how to deal with contract administration, where you sit down and have lunch with the same guy, you're telling him he's doing something wrong. That's a hard place to be, but that's the breed that we're looking for to turn into construction inspectors for the future, no matter who you work for, whether you work for CEI or for TxDOT. The one thing, let's go to the next slide. These are some things that have always been available. Going to bring a little bit more sense and order to them. We have existing computer-based training. Again, some of that is available outside of TxDOT as well. We have existing classroom training. Some of that's in Austin. Some of it can be brought to your district if you work with workforce development or the construction division. Some of it's handled through the division. Some of it comes from workforce development. Current count of online training classes and classroom classes together, there's 80 to 90 available. So if you go out there and look through the HR training catalog, you'll find between 80 and 90 classes that are in some form or fashion geared towards a construction inspector. That could be anything from learning how to use an Excel spreadsheet a little bit better to how to do actual hands-on testing or things like that. And there's more to come in that area. Again, most of our efforts here will be to put these things in a little bit more discernible fashion than they may be available to you, or that you may be able to see now if you went to look for them, but just getting them organized so that you could see what is available to bring folks along, and you could then tailor your offering to the individual inspector. And again, don't forget about third-party offerings. There's always, everything from marketing reps for new products to proprietary products, and even just generic training providers. Districts can go out and purchase some of those if they see a need for it in their own district. This is one that we don't talk about a lot, which is OJT, but construction inspection, it's really the biggest tool you have in the box. One of the points I wanted to make while I was discussing the construction inspection development program is that it is not geared for you to call construction division and say, I need my inspector developed. The development belongs out in the districts because we have different tasks in West Texas than we do in East Texas, from FAR to Wichita Falls. We have different needs, metro, rural, urban, different skill sets. Needs to be tailored to your district and how you want to run the projects in your district. So OJT is the cement that holds all these things together. All the things that are being offered from Austin, from the construction division, or from workforce development are really just tools in your toolbox so that you can apply them as needed to your construction inspectors. Whether you're a CEI, whether you're a TxDOT district engineer, director of construction, or area engineer, developing these folks is really your responsibility, and OJT is the way to do it. Put them out on the job. The thing that we're really missing now across the board in the industry is that guy that I heard somebody this morning, I think it was Gina, talking about somebody that could taste asphalt and know what's in it. That guy isn't there anymore. So we rely on, that was you, wasn't it, Gina? That was awesome. But that guy, those people aren't there anymore. And if they are, they're in far fewer numbers than we would hope. So That goes back to the very first slide I put up there, is why do we need a construction and inspection development program? Because we have a lot of things coming down the pike. We have money that's kicking in. The construction projects are getting ready to hit the street. We have new partners in the CEI industry, basically the last few years in TxDOT. And, you know, we have to be ahead of that need. So this is the intent of this presentation was to let you know what's already there and what's coming, and for you to be able to take advantage of it from wherever you are in TxDOT and wherever your company may be working. Real quick to recap, it's really the construction and inspection development program. Again, some of my amazing PowerPoint talents. I got a picture of a toolbox. And we want to offer career path for construction inspectors. We want to update, we already have updated the inspector development manual, and that'll be a continuous process as specs change. We're working on a boot camp. We will be working a little bit more heavily on YouTube video library, and the most important one of all is OJT. My next slide is questions, but I knew I didn't have a half an hour, but I brought some folks that I know a lot of people want to hear of, especially if you're a TxDOT employee, a DE, or area engineer. Cullen Pfeiffer and Kevin Satoda are responsible for the tablet rollout, where we're going to be swapping all of our construction inspectors over to their Dell tablets, correct? Are they Dell products? And I'm going to give the floor to Cullen and Kevin and let them update you on the state of that rollout that's in progress. So, Cullen.
So Stan wanted me to give just a real brief overview on what we've got here. One of the tools that was identified, I think, in the whenever Tracy got this program together, was the need for everybody to have a new mobile device, a new tablet, or a newer tablet. Right now we all have iPads. That's probably the most common. We started working, Tracy and I talked a little bit. He started working with IMD to get everything situated, figured out. We had a few test devices. I'd taken one and put it up in Amarillo. Some Amarillo inspectors, they'd used it, utilized it. It had Site Manager on it. They work through Citrix. It has all the office products, the full office suite on there. After that, I had taken it down. San Antonio used it for a little bit. They got a little more aggressive with it. They put Adobe Professional on there. I believe they had ProjectWise installed. They had a few more things done. It does good. It was geared, I guess, aimed more towards field personnel. A lot of the questions are, does it run MicroStation? You know, a lot of the engineering applications, which it will not. And again, Kevin could probably help, or if you have any questions, he's here to help with that. But this is the Dell, I believe it's 5285. So it's about the size, maybe a little bit bigger than the iPads. It's Windows based, like I said, all the office suites on there. So all of our templates that we use, if you're out in the field, construction inspectors, all the test templates, they all work. Out on our website, we have other reports that are utilized. They work on these devices. You have, unlike an iPad, we have to touch the screen all the time. This is also touch screen, but you can hook up a mouse to it. It'll have this case. It'll have a docking station. Well, it's called a docking station. When you get to the office, they can plug in there, have dual monitors, have a full-size keyboard when they're sitting in the office doing their work there. When I was in the field, I would have, my personal opinion, I would have been in line. I would have traded in a laptop for sure. That's one of the goals, is for everybody to have one device. So one of the things that's been said is if it's decided that a inspector wants one of these tablets, the trade out will be they turn in their laptop and they'll get this this tablet here. Like I said, real brief, kind of what it is. We're right now, the original thought of how many we were going to get, and then discussing with IMD, we're going to get a lot more. I think the original thoughts we were going to get about 50% of, get the number of devices just to supply about 50% of our inspectors. Well, now it sounds like we're going to almost be able to give them to everybody if everybody wants them. So right now, this list has been sent out and asking for names and just a little bit of information on users that will be getting a device. So we can start the IMD, they'll start the procurement process and get them ordered, and then we'll work with or Kevin will, he'll work with the districts, how to roll them out, get them out to the appropriate district personnel. They will work with your users out there, exchange the devices and all that type of stuff.
I did want to explain one advantage of these devices also is, Colin mentioned the laptops and also the iPads. Replacing both those devices is actually very important. This device here can replace both of those. One thing that's an advantage of the iPads is that it has that cellular connection. Well, these devices can tether to your state iPhone, or they do have the ability to have a cellular card in them and function just like a iPad would be out in the field. So having connectivity into the internet or VPNing back into TxDOT's network is an advantage for you. You can do your Crossroads, you can do your site manager, you can get onto your network drives, you can do all those type of functions on this Windows tablet. And TxDOT is a Windows shop. We do use those iPads, but we've found that in talking with some of y'all in the field and with Colin and some of the staff, that the iPads don't quite fit in some of the areas, and some of the applications may not function the same as they would be if you're in the office on your desktop or your laptop, which is Windows-based. So I think with this new program with y'all and then getting these new devices in, I think we'll hopefully be able to bridge that gap for your inspectors out in the field and get them more productive.
All right, thank you, Colin and Kevin.
One other thing too, it may look like a laptop, but I know you don't want to do that with your laptop. So it is one of the nice things about this particular device is that it is flexible, it functions like a laptop, but then you have the detachable keyboard and you can use it like a tablet, rotates around. You do have the touch screen, like Colin was saying, and then you also do have a pen, so you can use the pen for it. So we're excited to get this out to your staff so they can use them and put them through their motions.
All right. So whether it's a training class, a boot camp, current manuals, or online or in classroom training, or IT infrastructure, the intent of the construction inspection development program is to provide you with tools and not a one-stop shop, but to give you what you need to flexibly train your construction inspectors as you need it in your district or your company. And with that, I guess I'd open it up to any questions, especially for the technical guys that I know nothing about that stuff. So any questions? Yeah.
On the your Dell, have you tested it against the weather, especially on Texas weather, and how's the battery life?
Repeat the question.
So the question was, these Dell products, if they've been tested in the weather, and then the battery life on them, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this device isn't a fully military-grade ruggedized device. Those are available, but they're very heavy. So the idea with this was to give you something that's more in between, gives you some office functionality, and I'm not sure if your staff was going to be in the elements a lot, but it will have the ability. This is a ruggedized case around this. So this ruggedized case was basically serve the same, similar function that your iPhone case would be. So it would help prevent damage, but if you wanted somebody to be out in the field in a full rugged atmosphere like some of our other staffs are out there, then there are some other options like a ruggedized unfortunately, a laptop, or we are looking into some of the ruggedized tablets that are out there also, which are pretty flexible and also do have some weight to it, though. They're a little more heavier. But for this device, it was kind of to bridge that gap between your current office device and maybe get you something that's out in the field so that you could use it. So if I were to, drop this, I couldn't guarantee that it wouldn't have any issues, but I could, for the most part, it should be fine. The working parts in here, like the hard drives that we're used to, they're not the same. They're a card. They're not a working disk. So some of those things that might have broken in the past don't break in the future now. So does that answer your question a little bit?
Any other questions? Yes, sir. I did not hear you. So the question was, are FTEs being allocated to the area offices? The answer is that's already been done. You should, if you were going to get some, you should already have them. There was a study done by administration based on everything from UTP and what your workload is projected to be across the state. It also considered how many construction inspectors you already have against your future workload. And one of the biggest things, and I think administration deserves a thank you for this. They didn't just go and prorate the FTEs that were available out amongst existing construction inspection staff. They moved a lot of the new positions out into the rural districts where it's even really difficult for CEIs to staff, which becomes very expensive for the department. And I think that was a wonderful idea, because then you could find those homegrown folks that want to stay home and not travel. And CEIs are a lot more efficient in the urban and metro environment. And so they really considered all of that, and those allocations have already been made, and your DE saw them if you haven't, if you're an area engineer. But a small portion of those were targeted for things like lab and project management titles and things like that, but the vast majority of the construction inspection FTEs have already been allocated and are available to be filled as of August 1st, but with really September 1st with the change in the classification system as well. So there was a whole study done before that was announced and rolled out. Gina, thank you.